Hello and welcome to GameRules.com. My name is Mark, and today I'm going to teach you how to play Loose Caboose. This is a dice and card game for 2 to 4 players, in which you are trying to manipulate your penalty point pile by playing cards to a growing train track and moving a caboose. What's that all about? Well, let's dive in and find out. Out of the box, you'll get an instruction booklet, a 50-card deck, 4 wheel dice, and a little red caboose. The deck is composed of numbered cards, numbered 1 through 4. Each card has a track pattern on it. There are also some cards with broken tracks, and we'll see what those do here in a little bit. The number on the card determines how many dice you will roll on your turn. The dice all contain blank sides, sides with a single wheel, and sides with 2 wheels. The number of wheels you roll determines how many cards you will move the train. Or should I say, caboose. Toot toot. To set up the game, shuffle the deck and then deal out 3 cards face up to form the beginning track. Cards cannot overlap to force the track to connect. They must be able to be placed adjacently or beside each other. You are also not allowed to create a dead end or a never-ending loop with the cards. So we'll go ahead and do our starting layout like so. Then you place the caboose on the middle card and decide which direction the track is going to grow. So for this example, we'll go ahead and have our track growing to the left from this bottom card. Next, you are going to remove cards from the deck based on the number count. For a 4-player game, you will remove 7 cards. For a 3-player game, you will remove 11 cards. And for a 2-player game, you will remove 13 cards. Those cards can be placed back in the box. They will not be used for the rest of the game. Place the rest of the deck face down near the track. And each player draws 2 cards to form their starting hand. Normally, you would keep your cards a secret from your opponents, but for this example, we're going to play with the cards face up. Remember to leave room for a penalty pile. The penalty pile is going to contain the cards that will determine your score at the end of the game. Whoever most recently traveled by train gets to go first. We'll play that the person at the bottom of the screen goes first. Begin your turn by drawing a card from the top of the draw pile. After you've done that, decide which card or cards you are going to play. You choose one number and play those cards. So if you have multiple copies of a number, you would play all of those cards. In this case, our player has a 1, a 2, and a 3. They're going to go ahead and play their 1. This card gets added to the track. Again, you are not allowed to overlap cards or create a loop or dead end. After you play the card, you will roll dice equal to the number on that card. So here our player rolls 1 die. The result of the die roll determines how many cards you will move the caboose. So we got 1 wheel. That means we move the caboose 1 card in the direction that was determined at the beginning of the game. As long as you keep the caboose on the track, you are safe. You do not have to take any penalty cards. If you move the caboose to the point where it will go off the track, you will receive penalty points. Once you've rolled and moved the caboose, your turn is done. Let's go ahead and take the next player's turn. They begin by drawing, and they got a 4. One thing I want to point out is that every now and then, a card cannot be played because it doesn't line up with the track. So in this case, if we played the 4 like this, the track would run into a dead end. We cannot overlap cards, so this positioning doesn't work. And of course, the track doesn't line up if we play the card upside down. So for this turn, this player cannot play the 4. They are going to go ahead and play their 2. And that means they roll 2 dice. And they got 3 wheels. So they have to move the caboose 3 cards. 1, 2, and boom. This caboose would derail if it went 1 more space. So if a player has a roll that forces the caboose to go off the cards, the caboose stops on the final card, and then however many wheels are left, the player must take that many penalty cards from the other end of the track. The caboose was able to be moved 2 spaces. That means they have 1 wheel left. They must take 1 penalty card. The penalty card is collected and placed face up in the player's penalty card pile. If a player has to take more than 1 card, the cards must be selected and placed in the pile in order. Now it is player 3's turn. They begin their turn by drawing. And they have a pair of 3s in their hand. If a player has more than 1 copy of a number, they would play both of those numbers. Also notice that one of these cards has a broken track. As the game continues, the track is going to continue to grow. So you might have to reposition the cards and get them recentered on the table in order to have enough room to play. Player 3 has played both of their 3s to the track. Even though they've played 2 copies of the same card, they still only roll 3 dice. They're not going to have to roll 6, just 3. And that is what they do. Ooh, they got a very lucky roll. They only got 1 wheel. However, they landed on a broken track card. Anytime you go through or land on a broken track card, you immediately take a penalty card from the end of the track and you bank it by playing it face down on the bottom of your penalty card pile. Because this card is face down, it cannot be removed from your penalty card pile. That ends the player's turn, and now we're back to the starting player. Now there's one more option you have on your turn. After drawing, if you do not want to play, you say pass. If you pass, you take 1 penalty card from the end of the track and add it to your pile. That ends your turn. Now let's move on here to the next player's turn and see how we can remove penalty cards from our penalty pile. So player 2 draws to begin their turn. Now for this example, let's have the player play their 3. That means they have to roll 3 dice. And they got 3 wheels. So they move the caboose 3 spaces, 1, 2, stop. They have 1 wheel left, so they have to take 1 card from the end of the track. That card is a 1. As you add cards to your penalty pile, if the card you're placing on top matches the card below it, both of those cards are removed. They are placed in the discard pile. We'll put that right here. Remember, face down cards in your penalty pile cannot be removed. It is possible to remove multiple cards from your pile if the order of those cards matches the order of your draw from the end of the train track. Play like that continues until the final card from the draw pile has been drawn. The player who does that completes their turn, and then at that point, the game comes to an end. Players take the cards left in their hand and they add them to their penalty point pile. No penalty point cards can be removed once the game is over. So they add those cards from their hand to the pile, and then everybody adds up their penalty points. The player with the fewest points wins the game. And that's how to play Loose Caboose. If you have any questions about this game, or if you have a game you would like to see a tutorial for, be sure to let me know down in the comments. If you found this video helpful, the best thing you can do to support the channel is subscribe, ring the bell, give this video a thumbs up, and of course, comments down below are always helpful. I have a playlist of other card games and dice games for you right here, floating beside my head. And if you would like to read the rules for a growing library of games, be sure to head over to GameRules.com, link in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, keep on playing.